How you guys doing? You ready for another episode of Real Band Names? Because that's what this is. That's what this is. It's raining, man, and I love it. Boy, do I love it. If I controlled the weather, I would let it keep going. Except for the people's houses getting sliding away. Except for that part, I could just let it go until I get tired of it, and for me it would take about a month. I love the rain. Okay, Boomer. That's been on my mind. When I heard that, it hurt my feelings. It did. Okay, Boomer. That hurt my feelings. Fuck you. I don't know where to begin. I think you should respect your elders. Why? What are they? So why? I don't know where to begin. Why? I don't know where to begin. And it's our fault. It's the disrespect we're getting. Generations previous to ours didn't from their children. It's because we were the ones who rebelled against authority. We were the ones. The 50s was the last decade of everybody kind of towing the line. You combed your hair, you put on your tie, you went to school, you looked nice, you stayed quiet in class, you didn't cut up, you were the scallywag, and then the 60s is when things started to change. Vietnam had a lot to do with it. Because we started to feel like, and we were right, that the government and the people in charge were fucking with us. And remember, that was the draft, too. That was the draft. When I was 15, 14 years old, people I knew in high school, upperclassmen, to me, they started going over and getting killed. And I started, wait a second, now I'm 16. Wait a second, in 2 more years, they're going to call my ass. And I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go to Vietnam and go poke around in the jungle and see what happened. Basically, that's what those poor fuckers did. So we took to the streets, and we ended that war. We did. Some might argue that we didn't, but we did. It was the bodies in the streets that did it. This country was torn in half. Love it or leave it. Early day conservatives, love it or leave it. We do love it. What do you mean, love it or leave it? We don't want to leave it. We love it here too. I mean, we grew up here. This is our home. It was our generation that got that Civil Rights Act going, the Civil Rights Movement. And, granted, racism is as hard a fact as it ever was, but what the Civil Rights Movement did wasn't nothing. It wasn't nothing. The so-called feminist movement, a lot of things opened up with us. But it went too far, and we were too permissive. We were too, everything's okay kind of thing, because we came from everything being so buttoned down and so many rules everywhere that we just said no rules. And that's the way we raised our kids. We want to be their friends now. We want to be their friends. And now the chickens have come home to peck us to death. No respect. I mean, I see parents these days. I see them a lot because I play in restaurants. So I see what happens in public. And the kid's going, I don't want to. Well, don't you want to see where the little horsey goes? No, I don't. But don't you think Daddy with his bright blue shorts? No, I know. And, they negotiate. with this little creature? Who's in charge? I raised 2 sons. I never hit them. I kind of yelled at my second one a little too much. He did his best. So did I, but he had an excuse. I'm sorry about that. But in either case, I never hit them, and they still had the fear of God in me. All I had to do was look at them. All I had to do was look at them, and there was no negotiating. There was no negotiating. I see these people pushing. I play this festival around here in California, and it's family time, and I see people pushing their kid around, and they're just, and the parents are both miserable, pushing this kid around, as if it was a dog that barks. Well, he barks. What are you going to do? What do you mean? My kid didn't cry. After he was like 1 year old, there was no crying. When it's a little baby, they cry, okay. But once they start toddling around, I put the fear of God in them right there. There's no crying. You can cry if you fall down and hit your head. I'll give you 30 seconds or a minute. But after that, you're done. I don't go with the fake crying. That, I don't go with that. Nuh-uh. That ain't gonna work with me, pal, kiddo. And if we were in a restaurant, which we hardly ever did, because I don't want to go to a restaurant when I got a little kid. But sometimes we were. If he started losing his mind, I'd pick him up out the door. I'd take him out, take him outside. Let him get his Miami Jammies out in the park across the street or whatever. The people in the restaurant didn't come there to listen to your kid or the little adorable child run around the place like it's a playground. Now, I did it old school because, my dad was strict, but my mom wasn't. So you might wonder, why wasn't I permissive like so many of my peers who ruined the following generation in this regard? Well, I think it was because of my dad, but my mother was very permissive. My mother would let me get away with murder, so I was pretty much of a brat. But my father, he hit me a couple times, and that's all it took. That first time, that hand came down from Alaska. Like Richard Pryor says, it came down through California and it caught me in Texas somewhere and sent me over to Florida. I didn't forget. That. So from then on, my dad just looked at me. Whatever I was doing, I stopped doing it right now. Right now. But my mom would let me get away with anything. So I sort of got both things, and I would play them off each other too. If mom was there, I would literally, and dad got mad, I would literally hide behind my mother's skirts. She had those 50s style long pleated kind of skirt thing, I remember, like curtains. And I have specific memories, several times, of looking at my dad from behind my mom, holding onto her skirts. I was hiding behind my mother's skirt, literally. And my dad was standing there, and there was nothing he could do. And it was funny, too, because my dad was a big man. He was a big, powerful man. He was 6 feet tall, 220 pounds, He was a big, strong man. He was a former athlete, and my mother was 5'1". She was tiny, but she was like she'd let me get away with anything, but not him, So I remember him standing there. I remember I could see his hands repeatedly clenching because he wanted to get his hands on me so much. Oh my God. So when I went got into an adulthood, and I looked back with the benefit of hindsight, because I think it was because I had a little bit of both. I had the strict and the permissive. I looked back ruefully and recognized that I had been a little shit. I really was a little brat, little golden boy brat in a lot of ways. I mean, I was a good kid. I think all kids start out with a good heart. Well, they should. Maybe they don't. You learn to be good. Yeah, that's right. Because little babies, you just want all they care about is themselves. Yeah, you got to learn empathy, or maybe you don't. Anyway, but point is, I was old school with my kids. I see these people walking around the festival, like I said, and the kids go, I don't want to, and you're negotiating with the kid. Why? Well, because the zebra has a pony on the thing, but he's not listening. Why? Because we have to go and get some gas, then we've got to go and make dinner. But no, why? He's not listening, and you're explaining things to him. If my kid ever asked, if he didn't want to, it's time to go. If he didn't want to go, pick him up, take him up to the car. Period. Why? Because I'm the daddy. That's why. Let's go. We're going. You don't want to come? You're coming. I'm God. To you, kid. To you, I'm God. Makes me think of, I'm not religious. And whenever I get shaky in my agnosticism, I read the Bible. Puts me firmly back, sort of pushes me toward the atheism side. I kind of meander back to agnosticism. So I've read the Bible front to back twice now. It's a lot of reading. It's a crazy book. But there's some beauty parts. And my favorite book, I think, is Ecclesiastic. No, two of my favorites are Ecclesiastic and Job. And Job, I really like Job. I have no rest, yet trouble comes. That's Job. And that's beautiful. See, that's what's the most beautiful parts of the Bible for me are the ones that communicate the human experience. So in the story, I'm sure you are aware of it. Maybe you're not. But Job, God and the devil, God and Satan have this bet that Satan bets God that if he takes, because Job, God is happy with Job because Job is such a righteous man. He fears the Lord, and he's a wealthy man. He's got property, he's got servants, he's got a big family, he's got crops and flocks and smocks and jocks, and Satan says, you could, I bet if you take everything away from him, that he will curse you. And God, oh no, he wouldn't do that. Well, yeah, put your money where your mouth is there, God-o. So God says, okay. So he takes everything away from Job. Everything. Takes away his property, his money, his servants, his family. He ends up homeless. He's grounded down. His body is covered in tumors and sores. He's just, he's as low as a person can be. And he puts up with it. He never complains. Oh, he complains, and he curses the day he was born, but he never curses the Lord. Never does. Never curses the Lord. But he comes close. When he's right at the very, very bottom, he raises his voice to God and he addresses God. He prays to God. And he goes, the fuck, God? Why did you do this to me? Why? I did everything right. I followed all your tenets. I followed all the commandments. I did all the sacrifices. I followed all the rules. I gave to the poor. I took care of everybody around me. I did everything. I walked the narrow path. Why did you do this to me? Why? And God answered him. God answered him. What did he say? Well, I'm paraphrasing. But God said, God said, where were you when I put the stars in the sky? Where were you when I put the sun and the moon in the firmament? Where were you when I made the seas roll? Where were you when I put up the great mountains? Where were you? Who the fuck are you? And that's his answer. That's God's answer. And the amazing thing about it is, he never answers. It's not an answer. He never answers his question. He never tells him why. He doesn't defend himself. He doesn't explain himself. He just says, why? Because I'm God. That's why. That's all you need to know. That always knocked me out. That blew my mind when I read that, you know. Well, that's what I am to this kid. Why? Because I'm your daddy, that's why. Okay? And the thing is, when they're children, when you're an adult, like if you're walking around and you were to see, and you're an adult and you see some kid get away from his mother and start running her through the parking lot, and she's tied up, she's got the baby here and the groceries there, and she's like, ah, and the kid got away from her. You know, what are you going to do? Just watch? Well, I hope not. I hope you do what you should, which is jump up and grab that kid and take him back to his mom. Why? Because as an adult, and especially if you're a parent, you see kids, you feel protective of them. It's like Hillary said, it takes a village. Well, yeah. You look at children as sort of beneficently, and you feel protective of them, you know. And so, then 20 years goes by, and you're older now, and these children are young adults, and they're telling you to fuck off. Well, Shakespeare said, sharper than a serpent's tooth is an ungrateful child. And it's not just for the parent. I mean, it's sharpest for the parent, the actual parent. But when that young person said, okay, boomer, I mean, if some guy in my generation, if I get into a thing with some stranger, like over a traffic stop or something or whatever, and he says, "Eat shit, buddy. You know, fuck you too, pal. You know, I don't care." But if a young person goes, "Oh, fuck you, old man," it hurts me. It hurts me. Why are you doing that? We raised you. We loved you. We cared for you. Yeah, maybe we fucked up. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, we wanted, you know, we were rebelling against all the rules of our parents in the 50s. So, and we went too far the other way. You know, so when she said, or that person, whoever said it was, okay, boomer, it hurt my feelings. You know, it kind of stings. I don't know. I don't understand that. Why should you respect your elders? Well, I'll give you a reason. Probably the reason. You know, we know what it is to be 15, 20, 25, 30. We know because we were. Okay? Do you know what it's like to be 50, 60, 70, 80? No, you don't. So about that, you can shut the fuck up. All right? And here's the other thing. Another thing we know, and here's where the respect comes in. We know loss. You live long enough, you lose. You lose your parents. You lose your friends. You lose family. You lose your health. See? And if if something's been taken from me, and I look at somebody and they've had something taken from them, I feel for them. It's called empathy. And you shouldn't have to experience it personally. You should be able to imagine it. If you weren't stupid. Okay, boomer. Fuck you. Oh, shit. Yeah. Where were you? Just like God said, where were you? You know? When I was putting on my pants after fucking your mom, where were you? Where was your little brain while I changed your damn diapers, wiped your ass? And then you get up to a certain age and start telling me where to get off? Oh, man. Wow. Okay, we left off with guns and wankers. Brown mark. School food punishment. Outer body llama. The Bumpin' Uglies. Fabulous pimps. The atomic bitch wax. Sinus envy. The lust penguins. Amputees. Failed attempts at facial hair. Jolly naked fisherman. 2-minute Sinatra. Oh, I'm not sick. I'm not sick. It's like a reflux kind of thing. Corpse molesting pervert. Frogs don't cry. Jason's cat died. Hairy palms and the gym towels. Barry White boys. Willie Nelson Mandela. Okay. Straight Jacket Lucy. Dick Delicious and the Tasty Testicle. 2,000 flushes. Ping pong bitches. I've got a wedgie. The testosterone. Dick Donkey's Dawn. Norman Bates and the Showerheads. The Veronica Cartwrights. I always liked her, Veronica Cartwright. The Muscular Lesbian. The Muscular Lesbians. Go, Nad, go. Big Balls and the Great White Idiot. The Hurling Tandoories. Oh my God. Alien Sex Fiend. The Luminous Poop Shovel. Poop Shovel. Dead Kennedys. That always offended me too, dead Kennedys. Well, you know what? That's because I know some of them. I've in my storied career, I met some of them. And I knew I was a good friend of Christopher Lawford's. He's a Kennedy. And I always thought that was pretty harsh, dead Kennedys, to call your band that. I mean, how do you think they like it? They put up with a lot. Natural Fonzie. Flamin' Schnauzers. Dick Nibbler's All-Star Weenie Roast. Honest Bob. And the Factory to Dealer Incentives. Kung Fu Dykes. Aborted Hitler cock. Admit your shit. The baby won't eat his corn dog. Oh, I love corn dogs, man. Born on the cob. The Yeasty Girls. Oh boy, Bunny Grunt. Jonestown Punch. Jehovah's Waitresses. The Rampant Hedgehogs. Japanese Torture Comedy Hour. Anus the Menace. Screaming Monkey Boner. Blue Balls Deluxe. Hentai Cum Dungeon.